Welcome back to Gale Force Winds Season 5.
Well, folks, welcome back to Gale Force Winds. My name is Jerry Carew. I'm the co-founder of Gale Force Winds. And if you've been following along, you understand that on every Tuesday night, we put out a deep dive with someone. Anywhere from 30, 40, 50 minutes long. The person sitting with me right now, and I'm in her business, I met at the Alt, where I tend to do a little bit of editing. And she told me a little bit about her story, and I just found it so inspiring. She's got a business, and you know, anyone who's engaged in the entrepreneurial journey is very interesting to me. So with that said, Mia, would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. So you're in our space downtown. This is our headquarters for our Chic Socials. So what I do as an event planner and a decorator is kind of facilitate a few things that we do here at Chic Celebrations. So our main business is event planning and decorating, and we're newly venturing into social events and outings. And this is where we host our workshops and events for the Chic Socials.
It's amazing, you know, you're at 270 Water Street. Yeah. I've lived here my entire life. I have never been in this facility before, and it's just got such character, as I said to you. And your office is here, and you can't see it, but over in the other space is a place where you can actually hold some events, correct?
Yeah, so we're up on the third floor. So when you enter on Water Street, we're kind of like a hidden gem, I like to say.
You are.
But the best things are hidden, I guess. So, yeah.
So I'm going to go back. I don't know. Did you say your full name? It's Mia Francis.
Mia Francis.
Mia Francis. We're going to delve into your background a little bit now, because I'm always interested in, you know, what led you to this point. But to get there, we need to find out, you know, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the UK. I'm from Birmingham. You probably hear us say
very that. Little accent, very little. How long have you been in Canada?
It's been about 15 years.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Goose Bay. When I was 13, we moved there. My parents were in the medical field, and that's what brought us to Canada. And we just kind of loved it ever since and stayed put. And yeah, back in St. John's now.
Amazing. Were your parents associated with the military? Were they serving the base, or were they just serving the community?
Community, yeah. So my mom worked at the hospital in Labrador, Labrador Grenfell Hospital. She worked in the emergency department. Yeah.
Cool. Any entrepreneurial people in your life that kind of led you to this point?
Yeah, so my grandparents are a huge factor in that. They have a steel gate business in the UK. They have a factory in India where they import things. My grandfather is East Indian, and my grandmother's, from the UK. So, yeah, it was a nice,
yeah. Have they been
inspiration,
Have they been to St. John's yet?
They have been, yes. Yeah. They love it in Canada.
I bet.
So they'll be back in June. Yeah,
so they must find it interesting now that you've gone down that entrepreneurial path.
They always said they were waiting for me to kind of get there. I think I had a lot of jobs where I was just like, I want to do more. Like, why won't my boss listen to me? And then they're always loving the energy I'm bringing to the office, but I always felt like I could be doing so much more, and I wish I had worked for myself. And I think I finally hit a moment where I said, I'm going to do it.
Amazing. We'll delve into that more, because I find that the moment of inspiration is one thing, but the moment of pulling the trigger is another. And sometimes that takes weeks, years, months, whatever. So Birmingham, you left at what age?
13.
You were 13. You grew up in Birmingham. I've never been to England, so I don't have a lot of reference points. Tell us a little bit about what life was like growing up in Birmingham, as you say.
So
that's my poor attempt at an accent.
Birmingham is mid-Eastlands in the UK. So, it's the second largest city in the UK. So a lot of people reference London, but we're about 2 hours away from London.
Interesting.
It's a great space. I like to visit a lot. I go back every year, at least once or twice a year.
Yeah. We have the windows open here, by the way. I don't know if you can hear that. We're in St. John's with the windows open in May. Anyway, sorry.
Just enjoying the heat, yeah. So yeah, it's a huge city, but there's also a countryside kind of element. So my grandparents lived in the countryside, so on the weekends I'd get on the train, I'd go visit them. So you get the best of both worlds in the UK.
Yeah.
You're in the inner city 1 minute, and then the next minute there's cows and trees and everything's spaced out.
Amazing.
So I kind of got the best of both worlds, I think. And then I think when I moved to Canada, I was like, oh, this reminds me of a familiar sense of like friendliness, the countryside, being more open, more land. So yeah, I think that's probably why I stayed. I didn't even put that together till just now.
It's certainly open here in Canada. I mean, the first time I went to Labrador, it took me 24 hours to get there. We got caught in a little bit of weather.
Oh, yeah.
So you're in Goose Bay. You're now 13, 14. You've left all your friends, which at that age is not easy. Tell us a little bit about that transition.
Oh, it was a transition.
Which your parents had to deal with, I'm sure.
I mean, I was one of few Black children in the school.
Yeah.
So that was an adjustment in itself, just seeing people that didn't necessarily look like me.
Yeah.
But also being Black and British, it was almost like they couldn't understand how you could be both.
Yeah.
So I was quite popular in the beginning. A lot of like, say this, we want to hear you talk British, like, and I did have a core group of friends, you know. I knew their families. We had the doors unlocked. That was a new concept for our family. Moving from like an inner city to, why does your best friend have our door code type of thing? And I said, well, she gave me mine, or hers. Sorry. Yeah. So just adjusting to that kind of energy and atmosphere, my parents kind of had to adapt with me as I grew up there. I started developing all these kind of Canadian nuances, I guess, just to what that environment was like living in Labrador.
Yeah.
Being in a smaller town and what that meant to know your neighbors and have them help you and you help them. So it was a real big adjustment, but I think a good one for sure.
Well, I mean, what I think probably happened for you is that transition prepared you for an entrepreneurial endeavor. I've kind of had some similar things happen to me in life, and in reflection, at the time, I didn't like the change that my mother imposed on me, but I reflect on it now, and I'm like, the word pivot is overused, but what an incredible pivot and preparation for the future. So you're in Goose Bay, and you're adapting to the new reality of your life. Did you have in your mind then any entrepreneurial endeavors, or was it always in the back of your mind, or were you just working for people? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think I had interests, obviously a lot of hobbies, and then it kind of, I think it was always there in a sense. I started I remember I saw pictures the other day. I literally forgot I had done this. There was, right out of high school, there was an opportunity for young entrepreneurs to kind of venture into business, and they gave us a grant to go and set up at a market. So I set up a fresh juice company called Fresh. I saw that there was only fast food and greasy food being served, and my mom, being a nurse, grew up quite like, is your plate rainbow orientated, you know? Do you have a fruit or vegetable? And I was like, nobody's really doing like juices or healthy things. So I set up a juice stand.
How old would you have been at this point?
Thought about, I think I was about 18.
Yeah. It's interesting, you know, was that Junior Achievement you were working with by chance? Yeah. Well, incredible program. I think, just thinking back to my own life and part of Junior Achievement, but I think the importance of having some exposure to business, despite the fact your grandparents were in business, but once you actually do something yourself, it gives you the confidence.
Yeah.
Right?
put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I had to think of all these concepts, how people are going to know about the brand. So I had made all of these stickers to go on the cups, and I had made a logo. That was a new concept for me. I set up at the local markets. I had woke up, gone to the wholesalers, got everything kind of prepped and ready, and I had everything ready to go. But thinking back, I mean, I was like, wow, yeah, I think I do have an entrepreneurial streak, and I've always been kind of like, why isn't someone doing this? And I have a notebook just full of things. Growing up, I would just write things down, but not until last year was it that I acted on.
We'll delve into that in a second. So you're 18, you're in Goose Bay, and how many other jobs did you do before you started this?
I think there's been quite a few.
Is that right? So were there one industry in particular? Were you doing retail? Aviation.
Kind of something that stuck to me and always kind of pulled me back in.
Living in Goose Bay, I understand why.
The military base, yes. So I did work for Air Labrador up in Goose Bay. So we would check people into their flights to go further north to Rigolet, Nain, Nawashish. And so that was what kind of got me started with the aviation world. And then with that job, I transferred to St. John's. So I actually did live here for about a year. And I still worked with the company until they switched to Air Borealis. And then I had moved back to Halifax because that's where my parents had moved to after I graduated. And I wanted to go be closer to family. So I went there and I found myself again working for an FBO company. And that was, I think, a pivot
FBO?
for me. So flight-based operations.
Okay.
So I had taken my rake, my access pass, and pretty much got my driving access. So we were working with Air Force, private flights,
Halifax.
Jet A, avgas engines, and sending hundreds of tons of lobster to Incheon, China. So I kind of was a little bit everywhere. They would put me in cargo, they would put me over in the FBO, but I'd be up on the Boeing jets checking in the 1,000 or 100-pound lobster at once a week to take it to Incheon. And then that kind of took me to meet all of these different characters, these CEOs, and just seeing that kind of behind the scenes of what that lifestyle looked like. And I think I kind of fell in love with that kind of glamorous side of things and how the others live type of energy. And I got to meet some really cool people that would come and go. And we'd become quite familiar and share stories. And I think they kind of were almost like an influence for me to kind of see how they could get there. They would tell me, I started out like you, working for all these people, but networking and who you know. And I just was taking like a deep dive into kind of what their behind the scenes were and how they got to level up. And it kind of inspired me. And I think it was always kind of, after that, it was kind of stuck in there. I started watching motivational videos all the time. I was quite into fitness back then. So just working out, making sure I was like ready for whatever was coming. Like they really kind of motivated me to keep that going.
That's wow, that's really inspiring. So you're in Halifax and all of this is unfolding, you're watching the motivational videos and you make a decision. Do you go from Halifax to here? Like, how did you end up back in St. John's?
Back in so after working with the FBO, I had a job in sales where I was top East Coast sales. So I was ready to go, and then COVID hit.
So what were you doing? You were in the aviation industry? In sales? Commercial sales?
Commercial sales. And then, so then it took a huge pivot. COVID hit, and I'm someone that's just, I need to be busy. And it stopped everyone in their tracks. I like to travel, I like to be out, I like to meet people, I like to experience life, and it came to a halt. And I started looking for jobs that were remote, and that took me to Iqaluit, Nunavut. So that's how I ended up there. I stayed there for 3 years. I had only signed on for 4 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's just see.
Aviation industry there?
I actually worked, it was similar, medical travel for the government of Nunavut. So organizing, arranging trips for people who couldn't access healthcare within the territory and take you out of the territory to get the services you would need. So that's a whole operation in itself. But because I had this background in aviation, it seemed like a transitional fit for me. And it got me behind the scenes and working with different airlines and talking with medical staff to line up the two. We did work with a few medevacs back in Halifax. So there was a lot of full circle moments where I was like, oh, I did that because I needed to, it kind of all tied together for that job. And recently, last year, we moved back to St. John's. So all over the place. Yeah. It's good.
Well, it's funny, I think about you growing up in Birmingham and the concept of being in Nunavut with, minus 45 or what was the coldest it ever got up there that you can remember?
Minus 50 wind chill. I remember that walk to work very vividly.
You walk to work at minus 50. You are very adventurous.
Too far, but, when your breath just gets taken at minus 50, you'll never forget that walk. But it was an experience, and I don't regret being there. For sure.
It's funny, I was talking to a guy in Dublin, Ireland, and he was talking about how cold it was. This was about February, and I think it was, it was -1 or something in Dublin, which was really cold for Dublin. He said, I shouldn't be talking this way, On the day we were talking to him, it was 10 degrees here in St. John's in February. So I think a lot of people in the world, they don't understand. They all think Canada's a frozen wasteland, right?
Right, yeah.
St. John's is very different,
and
isn't it?
That's what my relatives always say in the UK, oh, I'm not going to visit you because it's snowing. Yeah. I'm like, it's plus 30 today.
Well, you know what we should do? Check the weather in England right now because we have the windows open here because it's actually warm. Mia,
it's gorgeous today. Yeah.
Well, look, this is why I wanted to have a chat with you because when we chatted briefly at the Alt, you gave me a little snapshot of where you've been and where you've come from and all that, and it's just fascinating. So, here you are. You're in St. John's, and you're here 1 year now.
Yes.
And the anniversary of your business would be?
Next month.
Wow. So, you came to St. John's, and within a month, basically, you set up shop.
I guess.
You don't fool around, do you?
But I think I was planning, we were planning to leave the North, and I thought what I'm going to do when I get there, and I was constantly thinking of ideas and concepts. So I think there was a little premeditated planning, and then once I got here, it just made it easy to just say, let's do it.
And you say we, is there a significant other in your life that we can talk about?
I met my partner in Iqaluit, and he's from here.
From St. John's.
From St. John's.
Okay, yeah.
From Newfoundland.
Yeah. So you're back, and the business. Let's delve into the business. I did see an interview you did on television that was fascinating to me, and then meeting you in person really, solidified it that I had to get you on. So tell us a little more. You talked about it a bit at the beginning. You're delving into a whole host of types of things. Right. So just give us another, kind of encapsulation of what your business is.
Yeah. So Chic Celebrations is the event planning and decorating side. So from that, I get to do all kinds of things from Christmas parties, corporate events, creating these unique experiences, whether it's on the land, doing a tasting menu, whether it's setting up for extravagant birthday party.
Which you have one coming up.
I do. I do.
400 people, you told me. That would be the biggest party I've ever been to.
Yeah, so I love it. It's part of it, right? You got to love what you do, and I think every day is just exciting, and I'm trying to figure out how to scale the business. And with that, we started this walking group. I was new to the city and thought, I'm an event planner. Let's just I put it together. You just have to show up.
Yeah.
From that walking group in October 2024, we have grown, and I instantly knew there's other people like me that want to experience that kind of connection and these events across town. So I wanted to find an event space. So I wrote down natural lighting, prime location, and I happened to come across this office space. And with paint and my DIY knowledge, I transformed it into kind of our headquarters. So it's like a perfect hidden gem. So we host now events and workshops based off of that walk. We got great feedback that people were looking for adult friendships, not just something to do on the weekend. They wanted something more than just that yoga class, that kind of moment after the yoga class where you get to pause and like, hi, nice to meet you. Like that kind of interaction that just wasn't really present. So this is a work in progress in that we're just working with the demand, and the demand is there. So the social events, we do workshops in the space that was basically during the winter. And now that we're rolling into summer, we're going to be doing events across the city. We have really exciting things coming up. So I'm very excited. But all interests and hobbies of mine, cooking classes. We're going to be doing things like paddle boarding, horse riding, and then also taking advantage of the pedestrian mall. So we're hoping to host painting classes out there. Just being out and about, it really, you don't realize how much it means to people to just have that in their week. On Thursday, I'm going to be going to Mia's event from 6 to 7, and I can just come in. She's got refreshment, she's got the activity, and I just have to show up, and I'm easily able to access and make these connections. So that's kind of what we're creating with the Chic Socials. So it's really exciting, and it's getting me to meet all these people and collaborate with all these local businesses. And I'm just having a lot of fun putting it all together. So the fact that other people are enjoying it also is just an added benefit, you know?
Yeah.
I call it my expensive social life.
Well, it's cool. So do you do like conferences as well and organize, I guess, things around conferences? Have you gotten into that?
Yeah, so we're always obviously looking, as we're in the first year of business. It's just about connection and knowing where to be, who to know, what to set up, where to be. So, of course, Yeah,
well, I could see a lot of businesses also wanting your services. It's one thing to have a birthday party. It's another thing to have a corporate event. So you're going to...
Team building.
Yeah, you do a lot of that as well.
Oh, yeah. So execs are coming in that want to treat their top %, and we set it all up. So welcome goodie bags, Newfoundland swag bags, to greetings. You know, I'm a hostess at heart. I think just being, I don't know if it's my grandmother installed this kind of thing from the UK, where it was like every detail from your arrival, something in the car, something as you get there, having these little moments for people. It's a part of the experience. So I've had a few people reach out to create these experiences for their top.
So having lived in many different places, what about St. John's inspires you? You seem very engaged with the community. So what is it about this place that has grabbed you?
It's that good old Newfoundland hospitality, I think. I love the people here. Everyone's just willing to help, eager to get to know you, very inviting. And I think I just feed off of that. It's easy for me to put people together because it's people want to interact in Newfoundland, you know? It's the little things people don't realize growing up in the UK versus walking down a trail here. Just that hello.
Yeah. Amazing.
Just that one little thing can make such a difference. And I had some cousins come visit us in Halifax for my mom's 50th last summer, and they came from Birmingham. They've never been to Canada, and they're like, everyone's so nice. Everyone here is so lovely.
Yeah.
Why are everyone saying hello? I'm like, welcome to Canada. She's so friendly here. And so, yeah, Newfoundland has a special place in my heart. I think growing up in Labrador, there's a lot of similarities. You know, Newfoundland and Labrador, like I've had school trips to come here. I'm familiar with it, and it's just something about it.
Well, it's interesting, you know, because you probably know a lot more. Most of the people that grow up on, say, the Avalon Peninsula, and for anyone from the UK who might be watching it, this is as far east as you can go in the island. It's called the Avalon Peninsula. They don't know a lot about the rest of the island, you know, and particularly Labrador. I've been in Labrador several times, and it's just, the place is massive. I mean, Newfoundland alone, the island, when I used to work for a publicly traded company, one lady said to me one time, I'll tell you a quick story. She goes, I've got 3 days, so I'm going to go, you've got 16 locations in Newfoundland. I'm going to visit all of them. And I said, stop. 16 locations, 2 of which are in Labrador, which include flights. The others, there's 14 hours driving between 2. And she's like, I'm looking at it on a map. No. And I'm like, so there's a lot of education that has to happen, I think, doesn't it? You know?
Right. Yeah.
So you're always educating your people in your life about this place we live, I guess.
Yeah. I think I have a little insight to the maybe culture here. Like, I love the fact they have Sunday dinner, like the Jake's dinner. Like, that's so UK to have like a roast on Sunday. And I think there's a lot of similarities. The weather, sometimes it can be a little rainy, a little foggy. I think UK, we can relate.
Yeah.
But no, just something about Newfoundland that people need to kind of experience is that it's just this whole other world.
Yeah.
1 minute you're in downtown, and next minute you're walking down the East Coast Trail, picking blueberries, maybe cloudberries, you know, like you're trying new things. Maybe you're kissing a cod on George Street.
Yeah.
But there's all these different insights to what makes it Newfoundland. But I think that hospitality, I always get back to the hospitality. Our neighbors are there to help us, and just kind of keeping that in its own little Newfoundland bubble. It's like people need to experience it. Unless you come here, you won't know how friendly like everybody is here. Yeah. So
you're incredibly excited about the business. Tell us a little bit about where you hope to take the business. You're approaching your first anniversary. Ooh. Congratulations on that.
Yes.
Where are you taking this business?
Oh my gosh. I'm planning big things. They said plan big, dream big, and I didn't realize that until I just got started, and I'm like, whoa. I have to redo my business plan because I've already exceeded what I knew I could do.
Yeah.
So I'm elevating, I'm dreaming big. I hope to have a venue one day large enough to host many things, whether it's bringing cultures together, or maybe just creating these unique experiences so people can experience Newfoundland and all it has to offer. So I think that's kind of my end goal, is just to have this community for the Chic Socials and keep growing our event planning business to eventually have a space to host more things. Yeah.
Amazing. I really, that resonates with me. When you start a business, you have some ideas, and then you're like, wow, did I really just do that? I want to throw an idea at you. This is an idea I've had for a long time. I've often thought of owning a space myself. Yeah. I want to have a building that looks like an iceberg. Don't know if you get the zoning for it, but can you imagine if you had a building here?
Nice hotel.
It would be it's so cool. you can run with that idea. I mean, anyone out there, if there's anyone who wants to finance it, I'm open to it. Or you can run with it.
Yeah,
but,
you just let us know.
Well, I think,
we'll set it up.
in Newfoundland, the icebergs are very interesting, to say the least. But Mia, you should be commended for taking that entrepreneurial leap. Before we leave, I do want to talk about that a little bit. The jump from a job into this idea. How long did that actually take? Besides the fact that the entire life in preparation, when you said, I'm doing this,
That kind of leap off the cliff. And I got to think about that because I'm trying to think when that moment kind of was. Maybe was the financial aspect or having enough to say, I think I could do it. Lots of conversations with my partner about doing it, and him just saying, yeah, like you keep saying it, but when is it gonna happen? I don't know if I'm trying to think, was there something in particular that kind of made me take that leap?
It's not an easy leap. And I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I mean,
it wasn't easy to get to that.
Well, I call myself a semipreneur because I shot wedding videos since 1988. But the leap into a full-time thing is scary. I'll never forget 5 years ago sitting my children down, and my youngest at the time would have been 12. You know what he said to me? He goes, "You're going out on your own, Dad." He said, "Will we get any Christmas gifts?" That was his biggest concern. And you know what my response to him was?
Priorities.
Well, you know what I said to him? I have no idea. I have no idea.
Maybe a lump of coal. Maybe some socks.
But all of these considerations come into mind, and then your spouse, the person that you spend the most time with, has to be supportive because that person is going down this road with you. So you know what I find interesting, Mia? It's that question. The majority of entrepreneurs that I sit with, they spend very little time telling me how long that process took. But we don't have enough time today to delve into it. But that time frame of literally making the leap and saying, you know what, I'm done with that paycheck.
Right.
Now I'm going to actually rely on my own. There's so much in there with the ups and the downs and the I guess the self-reflection and there's all kinds of stuff that I've gone through in terms of worrying about your own, like, can I really do this? Even though, and then when you start getting more and more clients, you're like, why do they like us? Why are they doing business? So all that, I can't remember the name of the term, but you kind of second guess yourself, don't you?
It can you can double down sometimes and just say, like, what am I doing? Is this even going to work? Yeah. And I think I experience it all the time. I think if you didn't, you'd be kind of out to lunch. They say you'd be a little bit crazy to think that, I didn't expect to have a location when we started that walk group. So that kind of was that motivation to say, you know what? Stop doubting yourself. There is a business here. You're doing the right thing. I'm either motivated or contemplating. So I think it's, as an entrepreneur, you just experience those highs and lows. And I don't know if there was something in particular, but I remember watching a motivational video and it mentioned, why not you? If you're someone who has all these ideas and this inspiration and you've been talking about doing something, and I thought, that's kind of me. That's kind of me. So I think that was kind of the leap I needed to just go, you know what? I've done the plans. I've looked at it a million times. So what is stopping me really? Yeah. It's that self-doubt. So I really had to say goodbye to her and say, you need to be quiet for a little bit. It's always there. It always creeps up. But I do try and just stay completely focused with almost blinders on sometimes, just so I can make sure that I'm keeping that vision alive from when I started the business. That first day where I took the leap and said, I'm going to do this. And
Mia, I love this. I'm going to delve a little bit more. We're talking now about 35 minutes, but I love that because I think I'm seeing some skepticism from some people about business and capitalism is this and all that. But in its essence, what we're having a conversation about here right now is small business. Yeah, we can be critical of some of these huge corporations that maybe are off the rails a little bit. But what you've just articulated to me is why I love business, because you've got to have your act together.
Right.
You've made that leap. And if more people did this, when you get up in the morning, A, you're motivated, B, if you're not motivated, you better bloody well get motivated, because otherwise you're not going to bring any money in, right? So
For sure.
that's why I love talking to you. You know, I'll give the final word to you. You know, given that I'm getting amped up a little bit about that, but you know, that's why I'm so impressed with what you've done and taken that leap. And you're still incredibly young. Your future's so bright. Final word to you. You know, whatever you want to say to anyone, what would you say to someone about business or life or whatever?
Yeah. I think ignore that self-doubt and you can do it. Don't know who needs to motivate you, but you need to find that motivation and delve into that and keep it going. So whatever fuels your fire and gets you up in the morning, excited about being in business, I think that's what you have to hold on to. 2 hands, and don't forget it. Write it down. Do what you got to do to make sure you're good for you. And yeah, excited about every day.
Well, Mia, it's a pleasure to have you on Gale Force Winds. I can say this to you, that you know, you've enhanced this community dramatically. A, just by your presence, your knowledge of other places in not only the world, but you know more about Newfoundland and Labrador than most people. Your diversity of background is so important to this community, but then that leap into the business world and contribution to this economic world we're in, because we can't avoid that. I commend you, I respect you, and I'm so happy that you came on. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for tuning in to Gale Force Winds. That's Gale Force Winds, WINS.com.